come to it. We're gonna come to it. Guys, we're good on pulse repetition period. The source, but also determined by the depth, the imaging depth. But yeah, initially it's determined by the source because the pulse repetition period is already assumed per centimeter by each transducer. It's different for each transducer. Okay? But we control it as well when we change our maximum imaging depth.
When you are changing the PRP, are you also changing the frequency?
Not the frequency of the transducer. We're changing the pulse repetition frequency, yes. But let me get there. That's the next thing. That's the next thing. I want to make sure we're good on PRP first before we get you on point though. You on it. But I want to make sure we get pulse repetition period, which is the time from the beginning of the pulse to the beginning of the next pulse. Okay? One on time, one off time. One talking time, one listening time. Remember guys, talking time is equivalent to our pulse duration. Alright? Talking time is equivalent to our pulse duration. The time it takes from the beginning of one pulse to the end of that pulse. Alright? And of course, like I said, it makes sense that our pulse repetition period is longer than our pulse duration, right? Mm-hmm. Right? Because depending on the depth, we're going to need to listen a lot longer than we need to transmit sound. This machine needs to listen a lot longer because it has to travel deep. When it's transmitting the pulse, the distance don't matter. Remember, the pulse duration determined by the source.
How does that affect us as a technologist as we're using it yet? Before we get freeze, do we wait? Does it affect anything when we get freezing?
It's just the fact that you're affecting how the time that it takes the next pulse to come out, right? Because if I send a pulse, I just can't immediately send another pulse behind that because that's going to be like a continuous wave, right? It's not going to create an anatomic image because I have to wait on the reflected sound waves to come back so I can create the image. And then when it does that, then it's going to send out another pulse. So it has to wait on those reflected signals to come back before it can send out another one. Or it's continuous, it's always on. So it's not even having time to receive information because it's always talking. Okay, that listening time is just for creating an image. We're waiting on reflected sound waves to come back. So when it's not affecting you like what you're doing. You're just adjusting the depth because I need to adjust the depth to see deeper. But just know when you're doing that, you're changing the time it takes that pulse. You're changing the time, the PRP, from the beginning of that pulse to the end of that pulse. But the only thing you're really changing is the listening time. That's the only thing you're changing. Okay? Just like our picture right here. So no matter what, the pulse duration is already determined by the source, right? That's already determined by the manufacturer who makes the machines. So we can never change the cycle. I'm sorry, we can never change the pulse. The pulse is the pulse is the pulse, right? Only thing we're changing is the listening time, all right?
How do you change?
With the depth.
Oh,
All right. So again, pulse repetition period is pulse duration plus the listening time. That's another way to state that.
the only thing you can change is the listening time.
Absolutely. That's the only thing we're changing. When we change our depth, we're changing the time the machine needs to listen for these pulses, right? And of course it makes sense because if I need to go really deep, then I need to wait a little longer for that sound to come back. If I'm just going right there, just going right here, then it's gonna boom, boom, come right back real quick, then I can send another pulse out. Okay? If I'm going all the way to the door, I gotta come all the way over here, bang, sound, then I gotta wait all the way this time for this sound to come back. See how long it took me? When I walk to the seal, bang, that's shallow. Bang, I'm already back. So now I can send another pulse out. Okay?
How are you changing the depth by the transducer?
The depth button, when you change your depth, on the machine, the depth.
So that's gonna change the listening time?
Yes,
Seriously?
just like that.
Oh, okay.
Just like that. All right, we're good here, guys? Sweet.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So I saw they do the pulse weight Doppler in vascular. So Can you tell us something about that? Like,
About who?
a vascular study?
What about it?
Because I saw they put that study all the time, so I don't know why we use that.
What we use what?
Pulse wave Doppler?
Post-wave Doppler, because post-wave Doppler is used for velocities. We're trying to get the
Oh.
velocity of the blood. That's what we're doing
Oh.
post-wave Doppler. Yeah. But that don't have nothing to do with this though.
But it look alike. Like they got a sound wave. And
Oh,
then,
remember, that's called the spectral analysis. Remember we talked about that in intro?
Uh-huh.
That's called the spectral analysis, where you actually measuring velocities. And that's
Oh.
what that's called. Where you see the graph. This, remember, you can't see this happening, guys. We don't look how fast that's happening. This is happening in microseconds. You know, you couldn't even cut a timer on and cut it off in less than a microsecond. You know, it's happening that fast.
Okay.
Right?
So it's not related.
No relationship at all. No relationship at all.
Because I saw it look alike, so I was
Yeah, but it's just for illustration purpose, so you can kind of see what's happening with the sound waves.
So when it says 100 microseconds, is it equal to 1 millisecond? Or it says to 1 millisecond?
That's the range, 100
Oh,
microseconds
okay.
to 1 millisecond. Remember, our typical values always come in a range. Okay?
Yeah, it's millisecond, the third one, milli.
Okay, so let's talk about the post-repetition period a little bit more. So when the system is at shallow depths, the time from one pulse to the next pulse is short. Again, guys, look right up here. This is shallow, remember? When it's at a shallow depth, look how short my post-repetition period is right there, right? Compared to when we have to travel to deeper depths, we have to listen a lot longer, right? So our post-repetition period, because it includes an on-time and a listening time, is going to be longer when we have to visualize structures that are deeper. So our post-repetition period is longer when we're looking at the abdomen than it is when we're looking at a lipoma, or we're looking at the thyroid, or we're looking at a scrotum, something that's really superficial to the skin. Okay? I look good. Wrong? Wait. All right. But I want you guys to know, post-repetition period is not related to the period at all. Because we're talking about pulses when we're talking about post-repetition period. We're talking about the period, we're just talking about cycles. All right? We need cycles to make a pulse. So when we're talking about post-repetition period, is unrelated to the period. Guys, I want to stress that again. Post-repetition period is unrelated to the period. They have no relationship. So if I have on a test, what's the relationship between post-repetition period and period? Asil, what is it?
unrelated.
Unrelated. Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say the wrong thing on purpose. Okay? It's only related to the depth of view. If we change our depth, then we're changing our post-repetition period. What are we actually changing though, Farnaz? The listening time. There we go. We're only changing the listening time because the pulse duration is already standard. It's set within the transducer.
We can compare it to frequency or
No, it's not related to that at all either. It's
not?
not,
Just to understand.
not related.
Mm.
Not related. You're gonna get that question wrong on the SPI if you say post-repetition period is related to the frequency. It's not related to that at all. Okay? Alright? Remember, PRP is only related to the depth of view. Okay? That's why I got this really big and bold right there for you guys. It's only related to the depth of view. Okay? PRP is not related to the period, guys, at all. They have no relationship. Alright? The depth of view describes the maximum distance into the body that an ultrasound system is imaging. Remember, that's why we have different frequencies, right? Because we know if we have a higher frequency transducer, it's not going to be able to travel as deep into the body, correct? Correct? That's why we use if we have a 12 transducer, that's why we can't use the 12. Have you guys ever tried that? Try that when you go to the lab. Grab your 12 transducer and try to do an abdomen exam. You're not going to be able to do a good exam. Only your near field is going to be beautiful. It's going to be really clear. It's going to look real nice. But you're not going to be able to see past 7-8 centimeters. Okay? That's why we use the C5 or 5 megahertz transducer, because it's going to travel a lot deeper into the body. Okay? So that's why the depth of view describes the maximum distance. So I would say our C5, it can probably go up to 30 centimeters. I think that's the max. If you increase the depth all the way, I think the max is gonna be 30 centimeters on the C5. You can't even get a 12 transducer, frequency 12 megahertz transducer to even think about going 30 centimeters deep into the body. Okay.
How would a thyroid with the low frequency?
With a low frequency, it's gonna remember how it's gonna be way at the top. You're gonna have to decrease the depth a lot just to see it. But remember, the reason we're using the 12 transducer versus the 5 is because the 12 is gonna provide more accuracy. The image is gonna be a lot crisper. It's gonna be a lot better quality image with the 12. Remember, when we're doing ultrasound, that's what we're playing. We're kind of playing with the frequency versus the depth, what we need to see, right? So we have to use the appropriate frequency transducer to the appropriate anatomy. All right. Same thing, when we're doing blood vessels, that's why we use that L9 or L linear 8 transducer, because it kind of has that in-between range. Maybe I can see 14 centimeters deep with a 9 megahertz transducer.
So when we change the depth, we are change the PRP,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
What makes the PRP change? I mean,
You're changing the listening time. The listening time, how long it takes to travel there and back.
What happened? Is there a sensor, or we?
No, it's
control-
automatically happening. It's automatically happening. There's no sensor, no alarm gonna go off and let you know you're changing it. It's automatically happening. When you change the depth, just know you're changing the PRP, whether it be for longer time, you decrease the depth, you're making the PRP shorter. Okay?
Yeah.
I just want to kind of keep that plain right there. Don't go any deeper than that. Don't go any deeper than that. Okay? Remember, the PRP, just like I wrote up there, the depth and the PRP are directly related, guys. As the depth increases, so does our PRP, or our listening time increases. Okay? Just the opposite. As our depth decreases, our PRP also decreases. All right? Okay. The two components of PRP will be the transmit time. That's also known as the pulse duration, right, guys? We can't change that, remember? We can't change that, or our on time. Look, that's not adjustable. That's not adjustable. I know it sounds like I'm repeating myself a lot, guys. I really am, because remember, like I said, if I say it 8 times, it's supposed to stick. According to what I read. According to what I read.
It's on the test, right?
So again, the transmit time or pulse duration or the on time, or the talking time, that's not adjustable. That's already determined by the manufacturer. Okay? But the receive time or the off time or the listening time, that is adjustable. How is that adjustable, Jasmine? How is that adjustable, Farnaz? Changing the depth. Changing the depth. You change your depth, you're changing the receive time or the listening time or the off time. Okay? Bang. This is kind of what I have up here already, guys. The transducer receive reflections from anatomical reflectors during the receive. Okay, right? Because it's transmitting already. We're just waiting on those signals to come back to the transducer so we can read, right? The listening time can be adjusted by the imaging depth. Again, with deeper imaging, the listening time in PRP lengthen. Look how long this listening time is compared to with shallow imaging, right? So we have to wait to get those reflected signals before we can send out another pulse. Okay.
Okay, which organs does this shallow imaging?
The thyroid is an example. The scrotum is an example. Those are examples of shallow imaging structures. Deep structure would be the pelvis, the abdomen. All of those structures would be a lot deeper. A lot deeper. Okay? Again, guys, I'm saying again, only the listening time of the PRP is changed when the depth is altered. If I decrease my depth, my PRP is also going to be shorter. Right? It's going to also, because they're directly related. I increase my depth, my PRP is going to get longer. My listening time is going to get longer. Okay? Good. We good on PRP, guys?
Yeah, it's done.
It's stuck. I hope so, because I hope.
So
Yeah.
the PRP also.
I'm coming to it. Let me get with this first. Let me get with this.
Oh,
You talking about
yes.
the formula?
No.
Oh,
About the depending. It's also depend on the depth, right?
yeah. Let me put that right here. /depth.
Yeah.
So PRP is gonna be inversely related to PRL?
What? I never can.
Is it PRP is inversely related to PRL?
Absolutely, man, absolutely. No doubt about it. I'm gonna write it in a different color. I was trying to get through with both of them first before I was gonna do that. I got a whole system laid out. All right, guys. So the pulse repetition frequency, the number of pulses that an ultrasound system transmits into the body per second. Okay. The number of pulses that an ultrasound system transmits into the body per second. Okay. Or just simply the number of pulses per second. Okay. The number of pulses, but we know we're looking at that's our body. The body is the medium. We know we're doing.